Dick Jones is my next guest, and I've known him forever. I babysat his children.
Just two of them.
Just two of the four, yes.
Yes.
Now, Dick started out in Texas, billed as the world's youngest trick rider and roper. You were 4?
I really don't remember.
That's what your bio says.
Oh, they lie sometimes.
How did you get from Texas and doing rodeos to Hollywood?
I don't remember.
Yes, you do. He's also a really bad put-on artist, and since we've known each other forever, he likes to tease me.
You're talking about yourself now. Come on.
Oh, how did you get from Texas to Hollywood?
I really don't remember. I was either on a train or a car or something like that.
Who was
that's not what you wanted?
responsible for you?
Oh, that story.
That story.
Oh. Let's see, I was working the Dallas Centennial Rodeo Contract Act, Celebrity Act, whatever you want to call it. And I was trick riding on this big black horse, and I did a fender drag, and I'm on the side of the horse on the inside of the arena. I would go around like that, and then I pop up at the end of it, and ta-da, I'm there. And Hoot Gibson, who was the star of that show, the Contract Act, he looked at that, and my mother happened to be standing there, and he says, "That kid ought to be in movies." And my mother says, "Whoopee," and away we went to Hollywood.
Whoopee, huh?
Yeah. Well, she was a good movie mother.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. I mean, so many of the child actors tell horror stories about their childhood and all. I mean, did you have fun with it? Did you dislike it? What was your...
I was indoctrinated into it, I guess, at such a young age that I didn't know any other thing. I didn't... I liked having a job. Yeah. But I didn't like working in the studios. I wanted to be outside. That's why I guess I did an awful lot of Westerns. I didn't get to work with Tom Mix. I never did work with Hoot Gibson. But Hoot Gibson took me around and introduced me to Buck Jones, and I did a couple with Buck Jones. I worked with Ken Maynard, Kermit Maynard, Jack Randall. Gosh, I name a bunch of them. I can't remember them. Okay, well, now about you. What are you doing? Huh?
You did Little Rascals.
Yeah, I did about 8 or 9 of those, but I can't pinpoint them. Somebody says that I saw you on the Little Rascals doing a dance routine. I said, "You found it." I said, "I've been looking for that forever."
Was that the only time you danced in a film?
No, I did a dance. Oh boy, it's so corny. It was Trail of the Hawk with Yancey Lane. He did one Western movie, and then disappeared from. But somehow they started picking the guitar and the banjo, and I got up and danced, and they took my boots, first pair of handmade boots I had, and they put taps on the toes and the heels, and you know I still have those boots.
Oh, for heaven's
sakes. I
sakes.
had them bronze, and I got them sitting up on my gun safe.
Oh, that's neat. What a great memory, though. I mean, those are the fun things and all that happened. What was your favorite? I mean, you did so many different things. What was your favorite crew to work with?
Until I got hooked up with Gene Autry, it was hodgepodge of this and then a mixed up of this, and I worked all the different studios. I liked working at Warner Brothers best. My favorite director was Michael Curtiz. Yeah, he was a fun guy. He directed me in my first Wild West stunt when I got shot and jerked. I mean, the horses got spooked and I got jerked out of the wagon, and they ran the wagon over me, and I got killed in Virginia City. But they put a log down there, so it was inconspicuous, and they says, now when you fall, you go in here, you land here, go over the horse's rump, and it land here. And the minute that wagon goes forward and it raises up on that log, these men are going to pull you out from under the wagon.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
It worked, but they missed me. They didn't pull me out, so I just laid still and let the wagon go on.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I said it sounds good in planning, but
But see,
you
he
were
was,
okay, and the log took the brunt. Wow.
Yeah, but Michael Tease was the director, and it'd get a little anxious sometimes because he had to wait for the clouds. He says, "We got to wait for the goobers." And
For the goobers.
yeah, he wants to match the goobers. He doesn't want to do a scene where there's a big fluffy cloud floating over here and then turn right back in another shot and that cloud's gone. He knows they don't move that fast. So he has to wait till the goobers come by and he shoots it that way.
How did you get hooked up with Gene Autry?
Well, according to publicity, I don't remember really, but I was just fresh out of the service and trying to support this sexy brunette wife I've got, and I was doing carpentry work and working at gas stations and stuff like that, and all of a sudden somebody says, "Gene Autry's looking for you." I said, "Oh, who's Gene Autry?" Honest, I never heard of the guy before. So I said, okay, and set up a meeting, and I went into Autry's office, and he says, "I'm going to do a movie called Strawberry Roan, and you're the only one I will let ride my horse." I said, now this is what publicity says.
Uh-huh.
And I said, okay, fine, I can do that. So I got hired, then and there, and we started working out at Andy Oregi's ranch, which they call Melody Ranch then. Mm-hmm. No, my daughter was not named after Gene Autry's ranch. And then we went to Sedona, and then when I came back from Sedona, that was the end of my job, and I rode Gene Autry's horse for him, and I guess they liked it or something. But anyway, I went on about my business, and I landed a good job at Warner Brothers, Rocky Mountain, and that, after all the stuff I've done, that was my very favorite movie. Working with Errol Flynn is you've got to work with Errol Flynn to know what a great actor he really was. Not his private life that he did afterwards, that's altogether different. He was a mechanic, he was a professional, and he plays his part. He does it like a good journalist. Mm. He tells you what he's going to tell you. He tells you. Then he tells you what he told you. Yeah, those three principles. And that's the way he would do all of his stuff. Like he would telegraph pointing this way. He'd telegraph that he's thinking about something. And he was great to work with. But this picture is the first time in the history of the motion picture industry that the U.S. cavalry arrived too late to save the hero. Mm. We all got killed.
Oh, Custer.
No.
No.
No. The cavalry got there, but they couldn't save him. But this time, the cavalry was too late to drive the Indians off. They were gone. But that's neither here nor there. What were you saying about yourself?
I wasn't. Now,
what are we leading to?
Looking at
Gene Autry.
Yes.
Got to finish the story about Gene Autry.
Please.
Yeah, I came back from doing this picture, Rocky Mountain. We were 10 or 13 weeks, something like that, down in Gallup, New Mexico. And there wasn't an indoor scene for the whole picture. So I came back and I was pretty weather beaten. And I hear that Gene Autry's looking for you. And I said, now what did I do? So I set up an appointment and go in and see him in his office. And he says, I've got this TV series that we're going to do, and I got this great big, long, lean, lanky guy that's an ex-stuntman, and we need a partner for him. And we're thinking of like maybe like a teenage Gabby Hayes. And at that time, I was the oldest teenager in Hollywood. So I says, well, I'd like to try that. And he says, fine. So we started work October the 1st, 1950. Never met Jocko before, never met him afterwards. And he says, look, kid, we're going to do all of our own stuff in this thing, and we're going to do it as wild as we could possibly do it, and we're going to do stuff that's never been done on TV. And I said, sounds fine. So the first crack out of the box, we do a couple of words. Jock swings up on his horse, and he's gone. And I go step up on mine, and I go chasing after him. And I never got the word cut. I come back, and the director's shaking his head like this. He says, I've got to do this again, you know. And that hurts their budget. So,
Oh, yeah.
Got to do it again. But the cameraman came over and said, hey, kid, come here. And I says, yeah, what's up? He says, what's the name of this show? I says, Range Rider. He says, are you the Range Rider? And I said, no. He says, well, then let me show you something. See this? This is my viewfinder on the camera. Now, I have to keep the star of this thing in this viewfinder here. And unless you get in his hip pocket, you're not going to be in the show. So I said, okay. Word to the wise, and I'm pretty wise about this time. And I say, I'll do that. So when Jocko starts to swing up on his horse, I'm on my horse, and I'm leading the way. So I got in the show pretty well. But
Oh, you guys did some great stuff on there.
oh boy, we lost a lot of sleep trying to figure out how to do them.
I bet.
Yeah.
But it sure looked good on the camera.
Yeah, that was fun. It was fun. We did a lot of crazy things that have never been done and never will be done because they can't afford to do it.
Yeah. How did Young Buffalo Bill come about?
Politics finished off the Range Rider after 78, 79 shows. And Jock went one way, and the Range Rider went into syndication. And I was still under contract. And Gene says, well, I can't have you sitting around here just using my money up. I said, why not? And he says, how about doing this? So he read me the idea, and I wasn't really too excited about it because if I'm going to be the number one, if I'm going to be the
lead.
I didn't want to say that. But if I'm going to be, I'm going to be taking all the brunt. And I didn't like that. I liked being a second fiddle and having fun. But they cast the little girl as my sister, and Harry Cheshire is the judge, and two of them filled the thing out, and it was good. And they turned me loose and said, do what you can do. And so if I couldn't do it, I'd figure out how to do it, and then I'd do it. So I made the director just go nuts. He says, how come you get on and off a horse either way? And I said, well, you'll notice I always get off the horse the side the camera's on. Oh. He said, well, how come you get on all different sizes? Well, you notice I always get on the side that the camera's on. And he couldn't figure that one out, but that's the way I did it.
You were with Disney Studios.
Yeah, that's an altogether different story. That goes way back before all this fun stuff started. I still can't get over the fact that that I got that part because Disney started off testing adults that imitated kids, and the first batch that he ran through and listened to, he says I got to have a real kid, got to have a real kid's voice with the real kids' inflections of things. And I was called up on it to test for it, along with 190 other kids. And it was just like doing a radio show, and I'd done a couple of Lux radio shows. So I had some radio experience, and it boiled down to about two of us. One of them, I'm sure you know, Sammy McKim.
Yeah.
Okay. He and I ended up 1 and 2, and we tested. And I got a phone, or my mother got a phone call, and it was Walt Disney inviting us to come over to the studio on Hyperion to have lunch with him. So I says, well, this is either yes or no. So we went over there and had lunch with Walt Disney, and he says, "How would you like to be the voice of Pinocchio?" And I thought in my head, I said, "Well, what the hell do you think I'm doing here?" But I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I said, "Oh yeah, oh boy, I would love to do that. Whoopee, whoopee," you know, all that little kid stuff, yeah. And so he said, "Well, we're gonna let you be the voice of Pinocchio." And I was very gracious about that. But in my mind, I'm thinking, you know, I just couldn't believe it. But anyway, it was a good job. It lasted a year and a half. However, I had a good contract. I didn't get paid much. I think it was a minimum, about $35 a day or something like that.
I don't think he ever paid actors much, did he?
I don't know about that. I'm only talk about me. Then we'll talk about you.
Behave.
I got to. She's out there watching.
Yes.
That's my better 7/8.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Walt Disney. I got the voice of Pinocchio job. Sammy McKim got a 30-year job with Disney Studios as an animator, and he got the good job. Anyway, we were still friends. I can't believe that I was blessed by getting that part like that, because at the time it was just a job. Yeah. And it was a fun job because I worked with some of the greatest actors that ever were. Then we worked with each other. Today you go in to do a voiceover and you're in this broadcast booth all by yourself, and you see up on the screen what you're supposed to do, and then you do it to match that story. But this way, we were working together. Like Walter Catlett was Honest John, Christian Rube was Geppetto. I'm naming classic actors from that era.
Yeah.
And Evelyn Venable was the Blue Fairy. And just a week before we started doing Pinocchio, she and I were doing a Hop-Along Cassidy together. She was a school mime and I was a bratty kid. But that's the way show business is, I guess. Haven't been around it in so long, I forgot. But I still carry my card because right now I'm just an unemployed actor and I'm looking for a job.
Yeah. You were real active with the Stuntmen's group, and I know you were pretty proud of that association over the years.
Everybody says you're cutting into their pocketbook, and I said, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I says, they've got the job. They had two stuntmen there, and there's several people that vied for the part of doubling me. I've never been doubled, except when I was hurt a couple of times. But that's the way I got all those pictures working with the other cowboys, because they had to have a kid and you couldn't get a stuntman small enough to double me. So I did all my own writing and all that stuff, but I never took a job away from them. You got it. If you can do it better than me, more power to you. The stuntmen didn't give me a bad time about that, because they knew that they weren't going to get paid for what the job was worth, and so they didn't want to work for Gene Autry. A couple of them, when they were looking for a job, they knew they could get one because Gene Autry was cheap.
He did have that reputation.
I tell you what, though, his checks never bounced.
Well, you had a long association with him.
I was under contract to him for a little over 5 years.
Yeah.
But I don't want people to think that I was taking a job away from the stuntmen.
Well, I didn't say that. I said you were proud of your association with them. And you always, on the Golden Boot, you were the one who always insisted that, we make sure that the stuntman had all of his credits and everything, and that we honored the one that you thought was most deserving at that point and all. So I always respected you for doing that and the way you stood up for those guys. Okay, questions, please. Yes, ma'am.
How old were you when you played Pinocchio?
Started when I was 10, finished up when I was almost 12. It was an 18-month job. However, they let me do other pictures at the same time. I did 6 pictures while I was doing Pinocchio.
What were they?
Thanks a lot.
See, you mentioned it.
I think the one that the only one that comes to my mind right now is Adventures of Mark Twain. I played Mark Twain as a boy when he was the cub pilot on the river boat. I did a Nancy Drew reporter at Warner Brothers, and I did I played the twin of with Dickie Moore in a picture in 20th Century Fox. It slipped my mind. That's so long ago.
I think that was pretty good, remembering 3 of them, yes?
Mr. Jones, not to put you on the spot, but do you still try and do the Pinocchio voice for people at all? I'm sure you get that question.
Yeah, because I can't do it.
Yeah.
It was my natural voice, and I grew up since then.
His voice changed. Yes, somebody else? Yes, sir.
Your schooling during the 18 months there, did they take care of it? You had a tutor? Or?
Yes. State law, you had to. You were allowed to work 4 hours. You had 3 hours of schooling and 1 hour for lunch, and that was your 8-hour day. So I would go prepared, get my advanced work from my regular school teacher, and pack it off and give it to the teacher at the studio, and they would make sure that I kept up with my class at school. And the kids, I'd go back to school, and then they'd say, "How can you go away for weeks and then come back here and you're all caught up?" And it was a little testy now and then.
Well, it does show, though, what happens when you have a one-on-one association with your teacher, that you can keep up a little better. Yes?
What do you think of the current westerns that are out now, like 310 to Yuma and Open Range?
Open Range was a great movie. I liked the original 310, the Yuma. The rest of the stuff sucks.
Just say it like you feel.
We don't want to go there, really, no.
Yes.
Dick, what memories do you have of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington?
I was more impressed with Jean Arthur than anything else. In fact, she's the only actress that I ever asked for an autograph picture. And she gave me a beautiful 11 by 14 sepia tone, and she was in a beautiful white satin evening gown. I got it hanging up in my den. It's the only one I've got hanging in my den. But Jimmy Stewart was a great guy to work with. I can't remember whether I worked Mr. Smith Goes to Washington with him first or Destry Rides Again first. They were both in the same year, but I forgot. But he was a great guy to work with, and every time we saw him at church, he'd say, "Hi, Dick, how you doing?" And I really admired him as an actor. But the thing that got me was they built the Senate, the inside of the Senate, on the stage there at Columbia. And being a page, we had to sit on the stairs leading up to the podium. And I remember this carpeting. And then just a couple of years ago, my youngest daughter took us on a tour of Washington, D.C., and we got into the Senate. And the first thing I noticed was it's the same damn carpeting that they had in the movie. Believe it or not.
Detail, yeah.
Believe it or not. Save the taxpayers a lot of money.
Just as a little segue, you and my dad played together a lot.
I'll bet you there's one that you don't remember. When the Hollywood Wolves had their, the Hollywood, what they call the baseball team there at
Stars.
Gilmore? Hollywood Stars.
Stars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the Angels didn't come on till later on. But Roy would be on trigger. I'd hit the ball. I'd jump on the stirrup, and Roy would run me around the bases. And I'd bail off that just as we come to home plate and slide in the home plate. Then the next time he said, "Hey, how about you helping me out with my boats? And
That I remember.
yeah, he had this yellow jacket business, and I'd never drove a race boat before, and he says, "That's easy, just follow me." So after a lot of test drives back and forth like that, first race was a race from San Pedro Harbor to Catalina. I got a late start because the boat that I had was the one that Roy wanted to get rid of, so it wasn't the fastest. But
No, he wouldn't do that.
wait, ho, you know better than that. You know better than that. You know he's a sore loser.
Oh, he was a horrible loser.
But anyway, he wanted the boats in the race, so I says, I'll do it. But this boat, he had to be going 35 miles an hour to get it up on plane. So my co-pilot was out on the bow, bouncing the bow, trying to get it to stick down, and he fell off. So I had to go all the way back around, pick him up, and by this time, all the boats are gone. They're out the harbor, and you can see them going up this way. The rooster tails are 20 feet high on those counter-rotated screws. And they're going that way, and my co-pilot says, that away. I says, no, I know where Catalina is. I got this compass from a tank. And I got it sitting right down here between my legs. And I says, it's right this way, and we're going to go that way. Then the fog came in. Can't see anything.
Yeah.
And my co-pilot's just going crazy. You got to go that way. I says, 15 more minutes, and if we don't find Catalina, I'll go 90 degrees to the right. No sooner said that than the fog opened up, and if that bow ring was a gun sight, there was the isthmus right there. There was the finished boat, and we come screaming into that thing. It was 45 minutes later, the other boats came down. They went all the way up to the isthmus and had to come all the way back down. So we're sitting there, and I'm kind of cocky, you know, and I'm giving Roy a bad time because he was last coming in there. And I'm asking him questions. I said, okay, now we got to go back. And he says, that's right, the race isn't over till we get back into the harbor. Start off again the next morning. I said, well, how far does this thing go on one tank of gas? He says, you got here okay, didn't you? And I said, yeah. He said, well, you can get back on it. So I listened to the man who knows, and I got a late start again. My co-pilot fell off, and they're all way out there in front, but get a running start, and I went by them like they were sitting still. Got all the way across from Catalina back to San Pedro. We're just ready to clear the breakwater to the finishing line, and I'm out of gas. Get the paddles out, and we're paddling like crazy, and here comes Roy. Get a horse! Yeah, then we did a couple other races and battled it out first and second, back and forth. But sure gave Yellow Jacket a good name.
Yes. Of course, like so many of his investments, I think he bought into that boat company like 3 years before fiberglass boats came out. Yeah, oh well.
Well, it was an oddball type of a boat. It was laminated plywood. It worked real good.
They were
But,
gorgeous.
yeah.
I want to thank you for joining me. Had a good time, even though you do like to tease me. Thank you very much.
I
Nick.
couldn't tease a better person. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, everybody.